Hello all and welcome to this afternoon's review, which I am dubbing the fairly expensive review because this kind of cost me quite a bit. I think this probably cost me well, it's not the most I've ever spent, but it's probably the most I've spent in about a year or so on something to review. And I'm still keeping with the theme of local beverages, and this is kind of a follow-up of my previous review, which was, of course, the Koloa White Rum. This is the Koloa 12 Barrel Select Kauai Reserve Single Batch Hawaii Rum. This is aged 3 years, and it is 92 proof, so that's 46% alcohol. So why is it called 12 Barrel Select? Well, they make 12 barrels of it that are aged, which comes to about a little over 3,500 bottles per, and I'm guessing they're going to be releasing this every year. And this one here is bottle 3658 of 3750. So yeah, barrel wood here is charred white oak. So let's read the back, shall we? Kauai's award-winning Koloa rum has come of age. Our Kauai Reserve 12-barrel select Hawaiian rum is artfully crafted in single batches, distilled from the finest Hawaiian sugarcane, then carefully aged for 3 years in select charred American white oak barrels at our distillery in Kalaheo, Kauai. The 12-barrel batch yields approximately 3,500 bottles, each of which is carefully inspected and numbered to ensure our Kauai Reserve rum is of the highest quality, distinctly different, and uniquely Hawaiian. So I opened this already and had a glass last weekend, and I'm looking forward to a glass today. I haven't closed my curtains because, well, where do those chickens go? They're hanging around the door just a little while ago. So this is 3 years, which is, from, well, as you know, whiskey is sort of my specialty, not rum. But from what I've gathered, 3 years is fairly young for a rum, but then this is a fairly young company. And as you know, aging is really a difficult thing for most of these newer companies to kind of pull off because they don't have the reserves to go and release 20 years. When you haven't been around 20 years, you can't release a 20-year-old rum. And moreover, you have to make money. So, you know, there's this sort of thing going where there's a need to go and push out white rums and dark rums and spice rums to go and sell before you start putting aside things to age. So I poured this out, and it is a light golden yellow. You can see here. Fairly thick legs. As does the white rum, and I do believe that this is the aged version of the white rum. Those of you who know better can correct me if need be. Immediately is butterscotch and vanilla in the nose. Some hints of banana. And this is probably not a flavor note that anyone else is going to make, but it also slightly smells of breadfruit to me. Probably a little bit closer to cooked breadfruit than banana. Why? Because it's kind of got a caramelized edge, as cooked breadfruit sometimes does, whereas banana generally doesn't have a caramelized edge to it. I'm might have over poured just a little bit. So none of the smells are gathering in my Glencairn glass, or it might just be a little bit closed up. Still fairly hot on the palate. And all the way down into the finish. But some nice notes there. Some honeyed notes. Lightly charred wood in the mid to finish. Residual sweetness throughout. I'm not like I said, I'm not too experienced with rum, so I don't really know how much sweetness an aged rum is supposed to have. That butterscotch in the nose shows up briefly in the front. Yes, there is quite a bit of sweetness once you get past the initial burn. Like I said, it's not fiery. It's still pretty smooth, but it still tastes young. There's something of an unfortunate bitterness to the finish there that lingers on the tongue, which is much more disconcerting than the heat. Definitely a hint of cooking bananas in the mid to finish as well. And also a real quick hit of almost like golden raisins in the front. Very slight though. It's almost debatable. I'm saying it's almost like golden raisins because it's not sweet enough to be golden raisins. Because I'm someone who goes and drinks something that has very raisiny notes. This is just slightly raisiny, a little bit in the front. All in all, I really do think that it's on its way to being good right now. It's still too young. There's still too much being kind of covered up by the alcohol heat. There's still a lot of rough edges. There's, and that, the aftertaste too really impedes because, when you sip it after, it's still kind of there on your tongue. It's really impeding the nicer notes of this. And what I really think needs, to happen with this is it just needs to stay in the barrel just a bit longer. Take some more of those rough edges off. Adobo, not right now, honey. Not right now. Go to the coop, Adobo. That's my chicken. I call her my little dinosaur, and you can probably guess why right now. So, sounds like a little dinosaur, doesn't she? like I said, there's something really nice here, and you just see flashes of it throughout, but it's just kind of obstructed by some of the rougher edges around, you know, in fact, it's still fairly hot, that there's kind of a weird bitter aftertaste that lingers on the palate. And, you know, I look forward to trying more rums from here. I intend on reviewing the dark rum, which is what they say is which is what people have kind of said is their best particular rum. But I want to go and do the aged one first to kind of contrast it with the white rum, which, like I said, was almost neutral. There was some almost like molasses notes there, very slight molasses notes, very slight vanilla notes. This definitely has progressed. There's like some fruity notes. There's sort of vanilla, butterscotch, also a slight wood char aspect to it. But overall, you know, very muted both in the nose and in the palate, and a lot of rough edges still. It needs more time to rest and to age, by my appreciation as someone who's drank a lot of whiskey. Someone who drinks a lot of rum might have a different opinion, and I believe you should probably take their opinion for it over mine, at least at this point, until I can get more rum in. My landlord is going to New York, and he's originally from Guyana, and I asked him to possibly, if possible, bring back some Demerara rum, which would be a nice thing. So, well, Paul, it's pretty expensive, but I'm like, well, I can't do his accent. Well, it's pretty expensive, but I'll see what I can do. So, Koloa 12 Barrel Select, Kauai Reserve. It really feels, to reiterate, it really feels like a rum that's on its way to becoming good, and it just perhaps came out of the barrel a little bit too soon by my estimation. That's your rum review for this afternoon. Cheers.